Hello everyone, I am Pradnya. In this video we are going to study chapter 8, that is flow of control. In this chapter we will study decision making statements and some looping statements. So let's get started. First of all, let's try to understand the different types of statement. So what is statement? Statements are the executable unit of a program. It gives instructions to the computer. So there are three types of statement. The first one is empty statements. The second one is simple statement, or you can say single statement. And the third one is compound statements. Let's study these statements in detail. The first one is empty statement. It is also called as null statement. It does nothing. In Python, the empty statement is pass. Whenever pass statement encountered in the program, interpreter does nothing, it continues with the next statement. Sometimes, according to the syntax of the programming language, we should write the statement, but according to the logic, it doesn't require. In that case, we can write the pass statement. Generally, we use pass statement with loops and ifs that we will study in this video. Let's try to understand the concept of pass with one simple example. Here I am initializing value 3 to a variable a. If the value of a is equals to 3, which is true in our case, then we have written the pass statements. If the value of a is 3, do nothing. So if this statement is true, we will not get any message and we are not doing any processing also. So after execution of pass statement, the control directly will come to the next statement of the program and we will get this output, we will get this message. When we were discussing about the structure of the Python program, we studied comment. Comment also does nothing and pass statement is also does nothing. But there is a difference between comment and the pass statement. Comment is a non-executable statement. Python interpreter just ignore that statement. But pass is a executable statement. If you don't want to write code at this moment, just write the pass and then later you can come back and update that program. The second type of statement is simple statements. Simple statements are the single executable statements in a program. So there are a lot of simple statements we have studied till now. It can be assignment statement, it can be print statement, or it can be a input statement also. The third type of statement we have to discuss, that is compound statement. Compound statements means it is a block, or we can say a group of statement. In this chapter we are going to study compound statements like if, for and while. These are all compound statements. Compound statement has some general form, so let's discuss that. First we have to write the header. Header consists of a keyword and it should end with a colon. When we write colon, a block gets created and all the statements belong to that block. In Python, we have to write the statements within that block at one indentation level because we don't have any other symbol to create a block in Python. So it should be at the same indentation level. So let's consider one example where we are using one compound statement, that is if. So if is a keyword followed by one condition and then we are mentioning here the colon. After colon, all the statements will be a part of that block. You can write single statement or set of statements. Here we are writing only one statement. So this statement belongs to this block. If this condition is true, the control will come to this block and this statement will get executed and we will get the output of this message. Every program consists of different types of statements which can be executed sequentially, selectively or iteratively. And programming language provides some construct to support sequence, selection and iteration. So let's try to understand these three concepts. The first is sequence. It refers to the normal flow of the program in which statements executed sequentially. Means all the statements of the program get executed sequentially one after another, starting from the first statement till the last. When the last statement gets executed means we are done with the program. The second type of construct is selection. In this, statements are executed depending on the condition. If condition satisfies, then one set of statements gets executed, otherwise other set of statements gets executed. So we use if statement to design selection. And the third construct is iteration. Iteration means repetitions. In a program, some statements are repeated based on the condition. We use looping statements for iteration, so we will study two looping statements in this chapter. Look at the diagram. The first construct is sequence. In this, all the statements are getting executed and it follows the normal flow. The second one is selection. In this, first we need to check the condition. If condition is true, one set of statements will get executed, and if condition is false, another set of statements will get executed but not both. And the third construct is iteration construct. Here also first we need to check the condition. If condition is true, these statements will keep on repeating. If condition is false, another statements will get executed. So for selection we will use if statement, and to design iteration construct we are going to use two looping statements. One is for and one is while. So this is how we represent these three constructs in the form of flowchart. So let's start discussing about some of the important concept of programming language. The first is if statement. If is a conditional statement and it implements the selection construct. It is also called as decision construct because we take decision based on some condition. Everyone take decisions every day, knowingly or unknowingly. As a student, you will take decisions like this. If it is 6 o'clock, should I get up or not? Should I study computer or not? Should I go to play or not? Should I watch that series or not? Should I play this video game? So how to implement all this in programming language? Anyhow, we are using programming language to solve our real life problems. So for that we have solution in the form of decision making statement. So if statement first test a condition. If it is true, one set of statements will execute. If it is false, another set of statements will get executed. To check condition, we can use relational operator as well as logical operators. We studied all the operators in detail in Python fundamental chapter. Please go and watch that video. If statement can be written in 4 different forms. So the first form is simple if. The second one is if else. The third one is if elif, and the fourth one is nested if. So let's check out the working of all these 4 forms of if with syntax and example. The first form is simple if. Here we are checking the condition along with if. If the condition is true, one set of statements will execute. But what if the condition is false? We are not doing anything in this. So let's check out the syntax of if. First we need to write the keyword if followed by the condition, and then we have to mention colon. After writing colon, it will create the block, and you can write a single statement or a multiple statement in that block. Make sure that all the statements of that block are at same indentation level. So let's implement this statement if to solve our simple real life problem. Here we have to check the number is even or odd. For that we are using if statement. So write first if followed by the condition. This program I have explained in the chapter Introduction to Problem Solving. There we wrote first algorithm, then we drew the flowchart. Now it's time to code. So go through that video and check out the logic for this simple program. Here n is any number provided by the user. The number will be even if it is completely divisible by 2. Means the remainder should be 0. So we are checking the remainder is 0 or not. If it is 0, then the control will come inside this block and it will print the message. If it is 0, the number is even. So we will get this message. If the condition is false, we are not printing anything, so it will continue with the next statement. So let's look at one more piece of code. Here we are comparing two numbers. There are two numbers. We are checking A is greater than B. If A is greater than B, the control will come inside the block and this message we will get. So if A is greater than B, in case of true, we are getting the message A is greater than B. We are not writing any condition for false because this is a simple if statement. If the condition is false, the control will come directly to the next statement, and the next statement we are printing is thank you. After executing the true block also, the control will come to the next statement. So after printing this message A is greater than B, we will get message thank you also. Now let's try to understand the second form of if statement, that is if else. If statement tests a condition, and if the condition is true, one set of statement will execute. Otherwise, if it is false, another set of statements will execute. Let's check out the syntax for this. If, then we have to write the condition. Then this is the block of code. It can be a single or multiple statement, and then we have to mention else. And this is the false part of the if. So after if condition, this is the true part. After else, this is the false part. Let's modify our same program of even numbers. Now we are checking for odd also. If this condition is satisfied, means we get 0 as a remainder. The number is completely divisible by 2, means it is a even number. If not, the control will come to the else part and we will get the message odd. Let's complete another piece of code, comparison of two numbers. If A is greater than B, we will print this message. If not, we will print this message. So with if else, we can write true part as well as false part. With the help of if else, we can check only one condition, whether it is true or false. We cannot go ahead with more than one or two conditions. For that, we can use if elif statement. With the help of this, we can write more conditions. Let's check out the syntax. If condition 1, if it is true, it will come to this block. Else it will continue. So with the else part, we cannot write condition. That's why we have new keyword now, elif. Along with elif, we are writing the second condition. If the second condition is true, control will come inside this block. Again, you can continue in this way and you can write as many conditions as you want. But at the last, you have to write the else part. If all the conditions are false, then the control will come to the else block. Let's consider one simple example. Here we are giving one number as an input. We have to check whether this number is positive or negative or it is a 0. So for that, we will check whether it is greater than 0. If it is greater than 0, it is positive. For negative, we will check it is less than 0. If it is less than 0, it is a negative number. Otherwise, automatically it will be equals to 0. So let's write this piece of code. If n is greater than 0, then the number is positive. Else it will continue to the elif. Now we are checking one more condition. If it is less than 0, if it is less than 0, we will get this message negative. Otherwise, it will go to else part. If both the conditions are false, then we will get that number is 0. No need to check again whether it is equals to 0, because if two conditions are wrong, this only will be true. Let's check out one more piece of code which is related to you to calculate your result. Depending on your requirement, you can change the message as well as the conditions also. If percentage is greater than or equal to 85, you will get distinction. If it is greater than or equal to 60, you will get first class. Similarly, if it is greater than or equal to 45, it will print second class. Otherwise, if all these three conditions are wrong, then it will come to the else part and it will print pass class. So in this way, if there are more conditions, we use if elif. The fourth form of if is nested if. Nested if means inside one if you can write the another if else. And else is optional, you can skip it also. There are four different variations to write the nested if statement. The first variation is you can write if inside if's body. So let's check out the syntax of the if statement. If statement inside this if part. So this is the first form. Now let's check out the second variation, if inside elif body. So here this another set of if else we can write in the elif body. So this is the second variation. Now the third variation is you can write if in the else body. So check out here, this another if statement we can write in the else part. So this is the third variation. Now what about the fourth variation? We can write this if in all three different sections of the if. So this another if I can write in if part also, I can write in elif part also, and I can write in the else part also in a same program. So we can include another if statement in any of the part of the if. Generally we use this nested if in the case where first we have to check one condition and after satisfying the first condition we have another condition. Okay, let's try to understand with one simple example. If you want to cast vote, you should be first Indian. If you are Indian, then we are checking whether you are greater than 18 years or not. So after checking one condition, we are going to apply the second condition. So this is the example of if inside another if. One more concept related to if is named condition. If the conditions are complex and repetitive, we can store in a name and that name we can use in a condition. So it increases the readability and the usability of the conditions. We want to calculate the interest based on some factors. So here we are calculating interest is 2% if this is the first condition for that and this is the second condition for that. If both the conditions are satisfied, then we will get the interest 2%. Similarly, here we are getting interest 3%, here interest 5%. So we store these conditions in one variable. So later just we can mention these variables name here instead of writing that complicated condition. After getting to know how to take decisions, there is one more concept related to programming language, that is looping. Looping means what? Certain statements will get repeated. Before going into the topic of looping, let's understand some functions which we are going to use to design loop. The first function is range function. It generates a sequence of list type. So this is the syntax. First parameter is lower limit. From where you have to start, that you have to mention. Next we have to write the upper limit. In the list we will not include the upper limit. It will be one less than that number. And the step value means by how much value you have to increment the next value. It is optional and the default value is 1, means the next number will increment by 1 if you will not mention the step value. So let's consider some of the example. Here I did not mention lower limit, so it will start with 0. So starting with 0, it will go up to 4. The upper limit is not included in the list. Let's check out the second example. The lower limit is 0, the upper limit is 5, upper limit is not inclusive in the list, so we will get the numbers 0 to 4. What if I will mention the step value? So the step value is 2. Starting with 0, it will go up to 9. So 0, then the next number will increment by 2. So it will be 2. Again the next number will increment by 2. So 4, 6 and 8. The next number is 10 and it is not inclusive in the list. All the parameters of the range function should be integer, and you know integer can take positive value as well as negative. So you can write negative step also, but it should start from the bigger number and should go to the smaller number. So now the list will be from 5 to 1. There is one more operator we are going to use in loop, that is membership operator. We have discussed membership operator in detail in Python fundamental. So there are two membership operators, one is in and one is not in. It checks the existence of the value inside a sequence. So let's check one example. We are going to check here whether this value is present in the list or not. If it is present, it will return true. If not, it will return false. So this is the working of in operator. There is one more membership operator, not in. It will return true if the value is not present in the sequence, otherwise it will return false. So let's check this example. I want to check whether this Z is present in this list or not. You can see here it is not present, so it will give the true. Let's check with one simple example how we can use these operators. I have to check whether this value hello is present in this whole string or not. So we can write if hello in operator we are using, and this is the another string. So this part of string is present is this or not, it will get checked. If it is true, we will get this message, yes, it is a part of this string, because it evaluates to true. After true we are writing this statement, so we will get this message. So this is the output of this piece of code. Now let's get into depth with looping statements. Let's take one real life example. If you are going to eat pani puri or dosa at the restaurant, observe that person. He repeats the same process to prepare pani puri, or observe that cook who prepares dosa. He also repeats the same process to prepare all the dosas. So why to go out? Just observe your mother preparing chapati. She also follows the same process to prepare chapati. This is the concept of looping. You also follow the same process, getting up in the morning, get ready for school or college, come back home, have something, go for sports or class, study, sleep, and then next day repeat. So this is an example of looping. It allows a set of statements to perform repeatedly, and to execute it repeatedly, we will give some condition. So until the condition is satisfied, the set of statements will keep on repeating. If not, it will come out of that loop and the next statement of the program will get executed. So there are two categories of loop. One is counting loop. The counting loop means it will repeat for a certain number of times. We will decide how many times it has to repeat, and then it will keep on repeating. So for is an example of counting loop. There is one more variation, that is conditional loop. It will keep on repeating as long as the condition is true. If we want to repeat a loop for fixed number of times, generally we use for loop. If you want loop to be repeated based on some condition, then we use while loop. So while is a conditional loop. So let's discuss the first loop, for loop. So here is the syntax for loop. First you should write for keyword, then we have to mention the variable. We are using in operator and we will check that in a sequence. Let's try to understand this concept with some piece of code. Here there is one sequence and we are printing the values of the sequence using for loop. So I will get three values here. The first value is 1, the second value is 3 and the third value is 5. So the output of this is 1, 3 and 5. Let's take one more example. Here I am using one string, and string is also a sequence of characters. So here we are checking the character one by one. The first value of ch will be D, then A, then T, and then again A. And we are printing the value of ch. So we will get the output like this. So in these two examples, we saw the usage of membership operator in. Now let's use range function. So this range function actually will produce the list of the numbers starting with 1 and it will go up to 4. This upper limit is not included in the list. So for n we have total 4 values, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, and we are printing it. So we will get the output 1, 2, 3, 4. So in case of for loop, you can use membership operator in, not in, and even you can use range function. One more looping statement we have to study, that is while loop. Let's try to understand syntax and one example. While loop has 4 important parts. The first part is initialization. First we have to initialize one variable. With that we will start our loop. Actually here this is a starting value of the loop. Then with while keyword we have to write the text expression. Text expression means it is a condition. After satisfying the condition, the control will come inside the loop. So here we are writing statements. It can be single or multiple statements. After that we have to update the expression. Here we can increment the variable or decrement the variable. So let's write one simple program to print the numbers from 1 to 5. First of all, we have to take one variable to execute the loop and initialize it. This is the starting value of the loop. Then we have to write the condition. So we have to print the value from 1. That's why I initialize the variable 1. And it should go till 5. That's why I have written the condition I should be less than equals to 5. If the condition is true, the control will come inside the loop. We are printing the value. The next value is 2, which is 1 greater than the previous values. So I have incremented the value of I by 1. So let's dry run this program and check out the values. So initially I is 1. 1 is less than 5. Yes, it is true. So control will come inside and we are printing I. So we got 1. In the next statement, we are incrementing the value of I by 1. So it will be 2. Now check out whether 2 is less than 5. Yes, it is less than 5. So it will come inside. We are printing it. So 2 will get printed. In the same way, value will be 3, 4 and 5 and it will get printed. So we will get these values. Now after printing 5, value will get incremented to 6. Then we will check the condition. Is 6 is less than 5? No, this is not less than 5. So the control will not go inside the loop. It will continue with the next statement of the program. So we will get the output 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are a lot of programs based on looping. Now you can practice all those programs. You know, looping means statements will get repeated, but in case if you want to come out of the loop in between, then we can use jump statement. Jump statements are used to jump out of the loop. So there are two jump statements. One is break, one is continue. So let's understand how break statement can be used in a program to come out of the loop. So break statement is used to come out of the loop. It will exit from the loop and the control will go to the next statement after the loop. Let's try to understand how we can use break with while and break with for. Generally we use break statement along with if. If certain condition satisfies, then come out of the loop. So you can see here there is one while loop. Inside that I am using break statement, and break statement generally used with the if statement. So if condition is satisfied, break means what? it will take the control out of the loop, and out of the loop we have this statement. You can see here the indentation level of this statement. It is not a part of the loop, that's why it is outside the loop, and the break will come out of the loop and it will go to the next statement followed by the loop. Let's take same example which we have discussed with the while loop. Now we were printing their numbers 1 2 3 4 5. Now little modifications I am going to do in the same program. Here what we have to do, we have to print the values only till 3. When the value is 3 we have to print, and then come out of the loop means these values will not get printed. So I am writing one condition, if the value of x equals to 3 then break. So we are printing the value of 3, then we are checking it whether it is equals to 3. If it is equals to 3, then break means come out of the loop. So the control will come to the next statement and we will get the message. After printing the values till 3, we will not print this 4 and 5, and we will get the message end of program. Similarly, we can use this break statement with the for loop also to come out of the loop. So here also our output is same. We are printing the values up to 3 and 4, 5 is not getting printed. The only difference is we are using for loop. Here I have used for x in 1 to 6. 1 to 6 means we will get the values 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So with the use of for loop I am writing this code is same. Let's discuss one more jump statement, that is continue. In break statement we have discussed that it will come out of the loop, but continue statement will go to the next iteration and it will skip the rest of the code. We can use continue statement in while loop and for loop also. We use continue statement along with if statement just like break. The condition which we are specifying with if, when it gets satisfied, continue statement will get executed and it will take control to the next iteration of the loop. Let's take the same example. So here is the while loop which we were using for printing the numbers from 1 to 5. For the value 1 and 2 there is no problem, we are printing the value. But when the value of x will be 3, we have written continue statement. So it will skip this statement of printing. So 3 will not get printed and it will take to the next iteration. So the next value is 4, it will get printed, and similarly 5 also will get printed. So for the iteration of 3, the value will not get printed because of this continue statement. The same program we can write using for. Even if we are using in the for loop, the logic and syntax is same. So if in case you have to come out of the loop in between without executing that loop for all the values, you can use jump statement. So two jump statements we have studied, one is break and one is continue. There is one more part of the loop, that is loop else. The loop else part executes only if loop terminates normally. If we are using any jump statement in the loop such as break and continue, else part will not get executed. So let's check out the syntax of loop else. This for loop syntax is same. The additional part is else part here. So we have to write this keyword else and then the statements. It can be single or multiple statements also. Let's try to understand with one simple example. Here we have written one simple program which will print the numbers from 1 to 4. You can see here this loop is getting terminated normally. So the else part will get executed and we will get this message. After printing the values, we will get message end of loop. We can use this loop else statement with while also. So the syntax of while is same, and along with that we are adding else part. The same program I am considering here but with the while loop. You can see here this loop is also getting terminated normally. So the else part will execute and will get the output like this. So we'll get first numbers from 1 to 5 because this loop is getting executed till 5, and at the end we will get this message. If we are studying the loops, we should know this concept of nested loop also. When we were studying if statement, we studied nested if. Nested if means enclosing one if statement inside the another if. The same concept we can apply to loop also. The nested loop means one loop inside the another loop. So let's check out for loop. You can see here there is one for loop and inside that we are writing another for loop. With the help of nested loop, you can write the program for printing the different types of patterns. You might have seen the patterns using star or the patterns using numbers. Let's check out the working of nested loop. This is the outer for loop and this is the inner for loop. The inner loop gets executed first for every value of the outer loop. So here are the possible values. I will have 1, 2 and 3 and the possible values of j will be 1 and 2. So j will execute for all the possible values of I. So for 1, j loop will execute 2 times. Then for 2, again j loop will execute 2 times. And then for value of 3, again j loop will execute 2 times. So in total, this loop will execute 6 times. Let's find out the values then. Initially the value of I is 1. Now inner loop will get executed for all the possible values of j. So what are the possible values of j? 1 and 2. And here I is same. I did not get incremented. Now in the pass 2, the I will get incremented because j cannot go beyond 2. Now the next value of I is 2. Now again for this value 2, the j loop will execute 2 times. So these are the values of j. I will be same here. Now in the pass 3, the value of I will be 3. So in the pass 3, the value of I is 3. And the value of j will be again 1 and 2. So we will get this output. Hope you have understood all this concept theoretically. I will try to explain this using some small programs. Actually, with the concept of conditional statement and looping statement, you have got the key to the treasure where the solution of maximum programs are hidden. And there is only way to level up: practice. So practice some of the programs along with me. Here we are going to implement simple if which will check whether the number is even. So let's code. First of all, we have to take one number. I am using input statement along with integer to take the number. So write message, enter any number. Now let's write condition. If n modulus 2 is equals to 0, then we have to write colon and press enter. You can see here the gap of 4 spaces got created because the statements which we are going to write will be at different indentation level than if. It is a part of the block which we have created for if. So here we are going to write the message print the number is even. We are not writing here else part because this is an example of simple if. Here we are writing only one statement in the block of if. Now let's continue with the next statement of the program. That's why change the indentation. Let's print some message here. I am writing end of program. Now run the program and check the output. Here it is asking for the number. So enter some even number to check the output. So we are getting the message the number is even, and after executing the block it will come to the next statement. So this statement is also getting executed. Now let's run the program once again. Now I am going to enter one odd number. So check the output. This block is not getting executed because the condition is false. It will come to the next statement. So only end of program we are getting the message. Let's modify the same program. Here I am adding the else part now. So write the else part. The indentation should be at the level of if. After colon, the block of if got created. Now let's print the message. When the condition is false, the number is odd number. So we are printing the message the number is odd. Check the output. I am going to enter first odd number. So we are getting the message number is odd. Let's run for even number. Now I am entering one even number. So we are getting the message the number is even. So if condition is true, it will come to the true part. If condition is false, it will come to the false part. Now let me demonstrate the if-elif statement. If there are more conditions, we have to use the if-elif statement. Here we are checking whether the number is positive, negative or 0. So let's take one number. I have taken one number using input statement. Now let's write the condition. So if n is greater than 0, we are going to print message the number is positive. Now we have to check whether the number is negative. So for that we are using elif part. It should be at the same indentation as if. So be careful with indentation in Python, as there is no special symbol to create block. So write condition with elif n is less than 0. If it is less than 0 means it is a negative number. So let's print that message. Print number is negative. If both the conditions are false, then ultimately the number will be 0. So we can write that in the else part. So let's write it else followed by colon. Now we will print the message that number is 0. So now check out the output for all three possible values. First I am going to enter one positive number. So we are getting message correctly. Number is positive. Let's check for negative number. This time I am going to enter one negative value. So we are getting the message correctly. Number is negative. Now let's enter 0 and check it. We are getting message number is 0. One more program we discuss for if-elif statement, that is calculation of result. So let's do that program also. Pause the video and practice along with me. First of all, we have to take the subject marks, calculate total, then calculate percent, and using the if-elif we have to calculate the result, or you can say grade. So let's take the marks for the subject. I am taking here only 3 subjects. You can add more subjects. Now let's calculate the total. Total will be M1 plus M2 plus M3. Now let's calculate the percentage. Percentage will be total divided by number of subjects. So here I have taken 3 subjects. If you are taking all 6 subjects, divided by 6. Now let's write if-elif statement. According to your choice, you can design the statements as well as the message. So in this way we have designed all the conditions here. Even you can print the total and percent. So let's print it. Okay, let's check the output. Run the program by clicking on this triangle, or you can press F5. So enter the marks for these subjects. We can assume out of 100. You can see here we are printing total marks, percentage, and based on percentage we are getting the grade. You can enter the marks for all the combination and check out whether you are getting the correct result or not. Let's move ahead with the next program. Now let me demonstrate how the nested if works. We are going to write one simple program to check whether you can cast the vote or not. So let's take the input. I am using variable n to take the nationality. So I am using input function. Now one more variable, I am taking age to get the age from the user. So the first criteria to cast the vote that we should be Indian. So let's check that condition with if n is equals to Indian. If you are Indian, one more condition we have to apply, that age should be greater than equals to 18. Then only you can cast the vote. Then we can print simply one message that eligible. Now let's write the else part of the nested if. So if age is not greater than 18 means you are not eligible, you are minor. So here we will print that you are minor. Now let's come out of the inner loop and design the else part of the outer if you are not Indian, also you cannot cast the vote. So let's print some message so that we'll come to know what is the reason you are not Indian. Let's check the output of this program whether we are getting correct output or not. I also did not check the output. Let's check together. Okay, let's enter the nationality as Indian. Now it is asking for age. So I will give the age more than 18. So see here, if we are Indian and if age is greater than 18, we are eligible to cast vote. Now let's write the code for loop in Spider. So the syntax of for is, first we need to write the for keyword, then any one variable we need to write, and generally we use the membership operator. So I am using in, and we will write one sequence. So I am going to write this 5 numbers, after that colon. So block will get created. Now let's print this value. This is just a simple program we are going to execute. Check the output. You can see here we got the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So in this way we have to write the for loop. There is one more function we studied which we can use in for loop, that is range function. So let's try that also. The same code we will replace with range function. So for n in range, so here we have to mention the range. So starting is 1 and the ending should be 5. So I should write 6 here because the last digit is not included in the range. Okay, let's print it now. Print the variable is n. Let's check the output. You can see here we got the same output. So you can write for loop using in operator with the sequence, or you can use the range function also. Now let me demonstrate the while loop. While loop has 4 parts. So first is initialization part. This is the starting value of the loop. Next we should write the condition with while keyword. So while n is less than equals to 5, then followed by colon. Now the block of while gets created. Let's print these values. So print n. This is the body of the while. This is the third part. Now we have to increment or decrement the value accordingly. Here we are incrementing the value. So I have written the statement n equals to n plus 1. These both the print statement and this increment statements are inside the block of the while. So they are at the same indentation level. Now let's check output. So you can see here we are getting the same number. So in this way, to generate loop we have 3 options. First is for with in and sequence. Then we can use range function along with for, or you can write the while loop. While is called as entry control loop because before entering the loop the condition will get checked. If it is true, then only it will enter into the loop. There are actually 2 types of loop. One is entry control and one is exit control. So entry control loop provided by the Python is only while, and there is no exit control loop like other programming language. In C++ we have exit control loop, that is do while loop, but it is not provided by the Python. So in this way, in this video we studied if statement and some looping statements. Hope you have understood the concept. If you have any doubt, please write in the comments. In the next video we are going to study chapter number 9, that is string manipulation. So till then keep studying. See you in the next video.